Welcome to Leadership Story Talks, where culture-driven leaders share real-life stories of challenge, growth, and connection. Join Jerome Deroy and Julienne Ryan as they explore how storytelling shapes leadership, strengthens teams, and brings employee engagement to life.
Hey, well, welcome everyone to a special episode of Leadership Story Talks. I know you, Julienne, have been noodling on some thoughts, and we were talking offline, and now we've got the mic on, so the floor is yours.
Noodling, mulling, talking to myself, name it. I've been looking at what's going around us with a lot of anxiety about the economy, about rapid change, uncertain change. So a lot of givens are no longer givens in our society, and also know that we have so many different opinions out there and experiences. And I've been challenging myself to examine in my own life how I could talk to people that may have differing opinions and form a bridge or form some kind of safe place for a conversation, that I take a chance and a risk to share my concerns and thoughts, but also hear other people's opinions. So I've been trying to just dissect this and figuring out what's worked or not in some situations. Um, and one situation comes to mind was about a workshops I've been giving over the times that I was invited by another company to do their training for them. And I looked like the other in the group, and I saw an opportunity for me to share perspective and also share my curiosity about their experiences, about how they were living and working and some of the challenges, which is very general comments, but it taught me the fact that we have to challenge our own assumptions when we're walking in a situation and figure out what we have in common and where there is something we are all worried about, and take it one step at a time and
Hmm.
not shout, not scream, and not do all that good stuff. So that's my mulling. Thanks for giving me a platform. I'm curious to see how you're been navigating some of these challenges lately.
Yeah, well, no, I think that's a great that's very wise to sort of challenge one's own assumptions. And kind of examine yourself first, because there's nothing else you can really control, right? You can't control what's going to come out of somebody else's mouth that might offend you, that might make you feel like less than, or just kind of powerless or helpless or angry. And that's sort of the range of motion that I'm sort of emotion that I'm seeing and feeling as well sometimes, is that it's hard to have conversations when you're in a place of fear, and the body kind of retreats,
Mhm.
or it fights, and or it just flees. And so I think that's these are all, the first thing for me that helps to know is these are all natural reactions, and that we all are human beings that have the same natural reactions. There's not a single one of us that doesn't feel one of those things: paralysis, fight, or flight. And yeah, and I felt all of them. And so, because of things that are largely out of my control, things that are really external to me. And so I think, for anyone who's listening, and is feeling some version of that right now, what I found to be helpful, and maybe others will find this helpful, is to kind of look at my own circumstances and my community, because that is where I do have more of a sense of control, where I certainly get a sense of support and a sense of love. And I think that's very, very important, is like, who are the people that you can now in this moment go to for support, for venting, and most importantly, that will not be a space of judgment. Where you can, in our parlance at Narrative, we talk about obstacles to listening, right? And where you can actually say what your obstacles are, knowing that the person you're saying that to will not judge you, That is super important. I invite everybody to look for those people in your life, even if there's just one and you haven't spoken to them in 10 years, pick up the phone, send that email, text them, and talk to them, because that's who you want in your corner right now. Because I think that's really important to just get that all out. Second thing that's been very helpful is find some kind of outlet, find some kind of a release. And I go to therapy, so I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. But other things that have been really helpful that are not necessarily about that, or finding, because I know finding a therapist is really hard, and can be expensive and is not covered by a lot of insurance companies, unfortunately. What's that?
Let's not go there right now.
Yeah, but that's the reality, right? And so for those for whom that might be difficult, and I know it's not a replacement, but I know that's something again that's been helpful for me is my um, you know do something with your body, move, get out of the house, walk around. It does so much. There actually, I was just reading yesterday about a study that people who are closer to nature, even in an apartment building that has they compared a small studio apartment that has a view of a garden and one that does not have a view of a garden, that has a view of a building, right? Or a street. People that live in the one that has the view of the garden are consistently happier than the ones who don't have the view. So I'm not talking about go and live in the forest or take long walks, in the forest. You don't have to do that. I mean, that's great if you can, but try that. Try to get closer to nature. Try to get into your body one step at a time. One person in a workshop told me once that when she's feeling, a sense of dread or feelings like nothing's working, all she tells herself is, I'm putting one foot in front of the other. What I'm feeling right now under my foot is the ground. Oh, I feel it again. I feel it again. I feel it again. I feel it again. And eventually she gets out of that loop, right? So those are the two things that I found really, really helpful is, lean on your community at this moment, go ask for support, talk to people, and then get inside your body, move, and get out of the house, get outdoors, even if it's 5 minutes or even if it's just looking at a tree from the window.
And I want to double back to you sharing that you're in therapy now, and it's been a gift myself in the past, that is a gift you're giving to others, that acknowledgement that you've reached um, out to another resource.
Mm,
So finding that sounding board, whatever kind person or wise person or trained professional is preferred, is a big gift to others to let them know that it's okay. Secondly, I'll move on to share. I always use my inner queen's girl voice as a metaphor, and it's been an interesting or an action prompt in my life. And I was thinking about sometimes I want to not be in some social situations, and I'm thinking I have to find one thing, and then I'm like, but you talk about this for a living, and you do this.
mm,
What's wrong with you, sister? Is the inner girl. Aren't you supposed to be modeling and living this way? And I'm like,
mm,
okay, fine. I'll take my own advice and live it. And it's about finding one thing with the person that you can talk about that gives you a ground. The weather, always helpful. Maybe there's somebody's like you talked about living things, are they a gardener? Are they like they're happy their house plant is still alive, or they have a dog or a pet? Something that's tangible that the two of you can exchange and maybe set as a foundation. And the act of humanity and caring, or simply ask, how are you doing? So
mm.
I am pushing to say, step forward, and maybe that's my task at hand right now. So inner
Mhm.
queen's girl voice, always important. Gotta listen to
Yeah.
it.
Yes, love it. And I invite now I'm inviting everyone to find their own inner fill in the blank, girl, boy, they, them, whichever whatever works for you. But we all have that inner voice essentially, and yeah, and a lot of times it's interesting. I did a workshop years and years ago where the idea was that we had sort of lost the inner child in ourselves. And sometimes you have to kind of, when you reconnect with that, and it's really reconnecting with a sense of play, a sense of fun, that's, without boundaries, that's completely free. So you just imagine whatever world you want to imagine, and then that's what kids are able to do. And for some reason, as we reach adulthood, we get less and less of that, and fewer opportunities, certainly. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about now, and that's kind of a reminder for myself of, like, tap into that creative imagination, because I think it's not just about having fun, but it's also about imagining the kind of world that you want to be in, and that you want your kids to be in, your friends to be in, your family to be in, your coworkers to be in. And maybe by imagining that, you start to take actions that lead you towards that kind of world. And if enough of us do that, who knows, maybe things actually change for the better. So we'll see.
There's days I'm saying it would have been easy to be a plumber lately, but this is what we chose to do, and
Yeah.
step up and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks so much for bringing this up. I'm glad we got an opportunity to get this on the air and out of our heads. And yeah, we will, for our listeners here, lots and lots of resources. We just talked about the importance of finding support, finding resources. Narrative is here. We have lots of resources, lots of support available to you, where really nothing is off limits. So please come to us and ask your questions, and we're always happy to listen to you. Go to narrative.com, NARATIV.com, and find us there. Can't wait to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And bye-bye.
Bye.
Be safe.
Thank you. See you next time.
For more information on the narrative listening and storytelling method and how it can help your business, go to narrative.com.